Dorothea Dix, an early 19th century activist who drastically changed the medical field during her lifetime, played an instrumental role in the founding and expansion of more than 30 hospitals for the treatment of the mentally ill. She was also a leading figure of the idea that people with mental disturbances could not be cured or helped. Dorothea Lynn Dix, born on April 4, 1802, was an American educator, social reformer, and humanitarian. At age 14, she was teaching in a school for young girls in Western Massachusetts. Then in 1821, she opened a school for girls in Boston. She taught intensively, but that was soon interrupted by periods of ill health as she later abandoned teaching. Dorothea's life really took a turn for the better in 1841 when she began teaching Sunday school at East Cambridge Jail, a women's prison. When she discovered the horrific treatment of these prisoners, especially those with mental illnesses, she immediately went to court and secured an order of improvements. She traveled around the state in search of conditions in prisons and poorhouses. Dorothea crafted a document that was presented to the Massachusetts legislature, but she was not satisfied with the changes. So, she decided to do something to get people's attention towards this cause. She toured the country documenting the conditions and treatment of these patients so she could establish humane asylums for the mentally ill. Lots of people underestimated Dorothea's determination and dedication. She was frightened by the way these sick and insane people were being treated. They were confined in cages, closets, cellars, stalls, pens, chained, naked, beaten with rods, and lashed into obedience. During the time of this, mental health disorders were not recognized as treatable conditions. They were mostly perceived as a sign of sickness and madness. Dorothea Dix courageously fought for the people who could not fight for themselves. Dix traveled to almost every state in the Union and visited over 9,000 people suffering from a mental illness. She saw many of them neglected in poorhouses, jails, dark cellars, and hovels. She was appalled by their treatment, therefore she became a crusader. Dorothea grew up with the mother of a mental health problem and an abusive alcoholic father. She didn't have her brothers to look up to because they had moved to live with their wealthy grandmother in Boston. Especially since she knew her own mother's struggle, this priority came very close to Dorothea's heart. Dorothea knew that she had to be the one to speak up and get these people the proper conditions of treatment that they deserved. Miss Dix led a 40-year-long crusade for the reform of mental asylums in the U.S., Canada, and Europe. She was an advocate for the voiceless, a beacon of light in the darkness, a humanitarian for a place with no humanity. She was a compassionate woman with no doubt in what she was doing. Dorothea played an instrumental role in the founding of more than 30 hospitals for the treatment of the mentally ill. She was a leading figure against the idea that people with mental disturbances could not be cured. Her own struggles might have been a leading part in helping her be a more compassionate advocate for people. In the 1850s, there was an intense debate held in Congress over what role the federal government should play in providing services and support to the mentally disabled. The bill that Dorothea was urging Congress proposed that 10 million acres of land would be distributed to each of the states as endowments for the care of the insane. Because of Dorothea's great influence with congressional leaders, the body gave her an office in the Capitol in which she could lobby for her bill. Dix drastically changed the medical field during her lifetime. She campaigned cause for both the mentally ill and indigenous populations. By doing this, she decided to challenge herself and do something even better. When the Civil War started, Dix completely dedicated herself to the Union cause. She was designated as the superintendent of Army nurses for the Union Army. Even though she set impossibly high standards for the recruited nurses, the Army of Nurses were extremely successful and crucial in advancing the role of nurses in the war and medical field. Dorothea was also known for treating both Confederate and Union soldiers. As an outcome of this, she gained her respect from many. After the war, Dix raised funds for the building of a national monument to honor deceased soldiers. In the end, not only did Dorothea dedicate almost her whole life to this cause, she also met lots of activists and worked with them in her lifetime. She suffered from an illness and returned to New Jersey, where she spent the remainder of her life in a specially designed suite in the New Jersey State Hospital, where she died on July 17, 1887, and was buried in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Dorothea Dix was an author, teacher, reformer, humanitarian, and an activist. Without Dorothea Dix and her courageously caring personality, lots of people wouldn't be where they are today. Dorothea has made so many differences in society. She was such a humanitarian that however much she was helping was never enough. She went from teaching to opening a school to teaching a Sunday school, and when she saw the conditions of the mentally ill, she didn't just keep quiet and continue teaching. She spoke up, wrote to the legislature, and made a change that the entire country would soon be affected by. When the Civil War began, she changed her career again and became a nurse to help in the country's time of need. Dorothea never stopped changing and adjusting her skills to help out people in need, and that's what made her such an amazing leader.